I remember walking into that board meeting, thinking it was just another Thursday, another quarterly review, another chance to show the board members why Hale and Morrison Financial was the smartest investment they'd ever made. David Morrison, my business partner of 15 years, sat at the head of the table. That should have been my first warning. It was always my seat, always. But I let it go. I smiled and took the seat beside him, like a good partner should. The board members filed in, 12 faces I'd known for years, 12 people who'd watched us build this company from a two-room operation into a financial powerhouse, managing over $3 billion in assets. David cleared his throat. That's when I noticed the lawyers, 2 of them standing in the corner like vultures waiting for something to die. "Thank you all for coming on short notice," David began, his voice carrying that rehearsed quality of someone who'd practiced this speech. "I've called this emergency meeting because I've discovered something that demands immediate action." I remember thinking there was a problem with a client, maybe regulatory issues. My mind was already working through solutions, through damage control protocols. Then David slid a folder across the table to me. "Arthur," he said, and his voice carried something I'd never heard before, pity mixed with triumph. "These documents show a pattern of embezzlement spanning the last 18 months, unauthorized transfers, phantom accounts, money being siphoned from client portfolios into offshore accounts." The words didn't make sense at first. They were just sounds, syllables hanging in the air like smoke. I opened the folder. My signature was on every page, my authorization codes, my accounts. Transfers of hundreds of thousands of pounds, then millions, moving like a river of stolen money, flowing directly to accounts in the Cayman Islands, in Switzerland, in Panama. "It's impossible," I said, my voice steady despite the way the room had started to tilt. "The digital signatures match yours perfectly," one of the lawyers said, stepping forward. "The IP addresses trace back to your office computer, your home computer, even your mobile device." "Arthur," David said, and he actually managed to sound sad about it. "We've been friends for a long time. If you're in some kind of trouble, gambling debts, personal issues, we can work something out, but you need to admit what you've done." I looked around the table. Every face told the same story. They believed it. Every single one of them believed I'd stolen from my own clients, my own company, my own legacy. "This is a mistake," I said. My voice sounded hollow even to my own ears. "I'm being set up." "The evidence is overwhelming," David said. He nodded to the lawyers. "I'm sorry, Arthur, but as majority shareholder, I'm exercising my right to remove you as managing partner, effective immediately. Security will escort you from the building." Majority shareholder. Those words hit me like a physical blow. "What are you talking about?" I stood up, the chair scraping against the floor. "We're 50-50 partners. We've always been 50-50. David pulled out another document. "Not according to the amended partnership agreement signed 8 months ago. You transferred 15% of your shares to me. It's all here. Your signature, your lawyer's seal." I stared at the document, at my signature that I'd never written, at the date I couldn't remember, at the slow, methodical destruction of everything I'd built. "You did this," I said, looking at David, really looking at him, seeing him clearly for the first time in 15 years. "You forged all of this. You're framing me." "Security," David said, pressing a button on the conference room phone. 2 security guards entered, men I'd hired, men whose names I knew, whose families I'd asked about at Christmas parties. "Gentlemen, please escort Mr. Hale from the premises. He's no longer employed here." I didn't fight. What was the point? The trap was perfect, airtight. Every document, every digital trail, every piece of evidence pointed directly at me. As they walked me through the office I'd built, past the trading floor where millions moved every second, past Stevens who wouldn't meet my eyes, past Claire whose hand covered her mouth in shock, I felt something crack inside my chest. Not break, crack, like ice forming over still water. They put my things in a cardboard box. 23 years in a box that barely filled halfway. A photo of Margaret and Daniel.
a paperweight from our first major deal, a fountain pen that had been my father's. And then I was on the street, in the rain, holding a cardboard box and watching my entire professional life evaporate behind tinted glass windows. I open my eyes. The laptop screen glows in front of me, patient, waiting. That was 3 months ago. 3 months of police interviews, 3 months of frozen bank accounts, 3 months of watching my reputation, built over decades, crumble into dust. But that wasn't the worst of it. The worst came 2 weeks after the board meeting. I sat in my study, surrounded by lawyers and forensic accountants, trying to untangle the web of lies David had woven. Margaret brought me tea every hour, her hand resting on my shoulder, her voice a constant anchor. "We'll get through this," she kept saying. "The truth will come out." I believed her, because I had to, because without that belief, there was nothing left. Then Daniel came home. Our son, 28 years old, brilliant, charismatic, working in commercial real estate, making his own way in the world without relying on his father's name or money. I was proud of that, proud of him. He walked into the house that evening with a woman I'd never seen before. Beautiful, mid-20s, wearing expensive clothes and an engagement ring that caught the light. "Dad," Daniel said, his voice carrying that forced cheerfulness of someone about to deliver bad news. "We need to talk." Margaret and I sat on the sofa. Daniel and his fiancée, Emma, she said her name was, sat across from us. "I know things have been difficult with everything happening at the company, the accusations. They're not accusations, they're lies. I'm being framed." Daniel exchanged a look with Emma. That look, the one that says someone has already made up their mind and is just going through the motions of pretending to care. "Dad, I've seen the evidence. David showed me everything." The words hit like a punch to the gut. "David showed you? When were you talking to David?" "He's been helping me with some property investments, good ones, actually. He's been a mentor to me over the past year." A mentor. My business partner had been mentoring my son behind my back. "Daniel," Margaret said, her voice strained, "your father didn't do what they're saying. You know him. You know he would never—" "I know the evidence is overwhelming," Daniel interrupted. "I know there are offshore accounts with Dad's name all over them. I know millions of pounds are missing." "Because I'm being framed," I stood up, my voice rising. "David Morrison is setting me up. He's stealing from the company and making it look like I did it." "That's paranoid, Dad. David has been nothing but supportive of our family. He's even helped Emma and me find our new flat in Knightsbridge." The pieces were clicking together now, forming a picture I didn't want to see. "How much did this flat cost?" I asked quietly. "That's not relevant. How much, Daniel?" £2 million, Emma said, speaking for the first time. "It's a beautiful property, 3 bedrooms, incredible views." "And how did you afford it?" I looked at my son. "Your salary at the real estate firm is good, but not £2 million for a flat good." "David helped us with the financing. He co-signed the mortgage. He believed in us when no one else would."
"When no one else would," I repeated slowly. "You mean when your own father was being destroyed and couldn't help you?" "That's not fair," Daniel said. "None of this is fair," my voice echoed through the room. "I'm being framed for crimes I didn't commit, and my own son has been making deals with the man who's destroying me." "You're not being destroyed, Dad. You destroyed yourself," Daniel shouted back, "and now you're trying to drag everyone else down with you." Margaret stood between us. "Both of you, stop. Daniel, your father is innocent. When the investigation is complete, that will be proven." Daniel shook his head. "I didn't come here to argue. I came to tell you that Emma and I are getting married next month, and we don't want this scandal hanging over our wedding. We don't want the press, the questions, the shame." "The shame," I repeated quietly. "So we're asking you not to come," Daniel finished. "Just until this is all resolved. We can't have you there, not with everything that's happening." The silence that followed was absolute. Margaret's hand found mine, gripping tight. "You're uninviting your father from your wedding," Daniel said.
Because you believe I'm a thief. I believe the evidence, and I believe David when he says you've been living a double life, stealing from clients, betraying everyone who trusted you. Get out, I said quietly. Dad, get out of my house. Daniel and Emma left. The door closed behind them with a soft click that sounded like the end of the world. Margaret and I sat in silence for a long time. Then she said, "He'll come around. When the truth comes out, he'll understand." I wanted to believe her. I really did. But the truth didn't come out. It got buried deeper. The police investigation concluded that while the evidence was suspicious, they couldn't prove criminal intent. The charges were dropped, but the damage was done. No criminal prosecution meant no public vindication. It meant I'd gotten away with it in everyone's eyes. Clients fled, assets transferred to other firms. Hale and Morrison Financial became Morrison Financial Group. My name was erased from the building, from the letterhead, from history. And then came the night I learned the final truth. Margaret had been quiet for weeks, withdrawn. I assumed she was processing everything, dealing with the stress in her own way. I came home early, not that I had anywhere else to go, and found her sitting at the kitchen table with her phone in her hands, tears streaming down her face. "Margaret, what's wrong?" I moved toward her. "What's wrong?" She looked up at me, and I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Fear, and something else. Guilt. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "Sorry for what?" She put the phone on the table between us. On the screen was a text message thread between her and David Morrison. I picked up the phone with numb fingers and started reading. Messages going back 2 years, not business messages, personal ones, intimate ones. "I miss you. When can I see you again? He suspects nothing." I scrolled back further, planning, scheming, every detail of my destruction laid out in casual texts between my wife and my business partner. "The forged documents are ready. I'll introduce them at the next audit. What about Daniel? He's on board. The boy wants his inheritance now, not in 20 years. And when Arthur finds out, by then it won't matter. He'll have nothing. No company, no reputation, no proof. And we'll have everything." I looked up at Margaret. She was still crying, but I felt nothing. The cracking sound I'd heard months ago in the conference room, that was the last piece of ice forming over my heart. "How long?" I asked. 3 years, she whispered. "It started at the Christmas party. It was just supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to become this. And Daniel, our son, was part of this? He didn't want to wait for his inheritance. David convinced him that you were holding us all back, that you were too cautious, too conservative, that we could have so much more if I was gone," I finished. She nodded, unable to meet my eyes. "Get out," I said. "Arthur, please, get out of my house, now." She left that night, moved with David, I later learned. They were planning a vacation to Monaco, using my money, living my life. So here I sit in the darkness, with the rain pounding on the windows and the evidence of my family's betrayal glowing on the screen in front of me. They thought they'd destroyed me. They thought Arthur Hale was finished, a broken man, with no company, no family, no future. They were wrong. Because what they didn't know is that before I built a financial empire, before I became the man they thought I could crush, I spent 5 years working in digital forensics for Scotland Yard, before business school, before Margaret, before everything. I know how to hide digital trails, and I know how to find them. For 3 months I've been watching, waiting, documenting every illegal transfer David made, every forged signature, every stolen pound. I traced the money through shell corporations and offshore accounts, through layers of deception that would have fooled anyone else, but not me. And I found something else, something beautiful in its simplicity. David got greedy. He didn't just frame me and steal my share of the company. He's been embezzling from our clients for years, long before he decided to make me the scapegoat. Millions of pounds hidden in accounts under false names. And Margaret, sweet, loyal Margaret, who played the supportive wife while planning my destruction, she never changed her passwords. I've read every message, every email, every desperate text she sent to David about when they can finally stop pretending. And Daniel, my son, my boy who I raised, who I taught to ride a bike, who I sat with through nightmares and homework and broken hearts, he's been receiving monthly deposits from David's personal account, £30,000 a month for the last year, blood money paid for betraying my father. I have it all, every piece of evidence, every crime, every lie. But I'm not taking it to the police, not yet, because they don't deserve the mercy of a courtroom. They deserve something more personal, more permanent. Tomorrow is Daniel's wedding, the wedding I wasn't invited to, the wedding being held at the Savoy, paid for with stolen money. I won't be attending as a guest, but I will be there. I've hired a videographer, a legitimate one, booked months ago under a false name to document a special family surprise. He thinks he's filming a heartwarming father-son reunion. He's not. At precisely 4 p.m. tomorrow, during the ceremony, every screen in that ballroom will light up, not with romantic photos of the happy couple, not with childhood memories, with evidence. Bank statements will scroll across those screens, email chains, text messages, video depositions from clients who've been robbed, documentation of every crime, every betrayal, every lie, playing on loop for 200 wedding guests to see. The police will be watching too. I've already sent anonymous tips with just enough evidence to make them very interested in attending a certain high society wedding. The Financial Crimes Unit, the Fraud Division, even a few journalists who've been following the Arthur Hale embezzlement scandal and who might be interested to know the real story. David Morrison will be arrested in the middle of Daniel's wedding. So will Margaret, and Daniel, my son, will have to answer some very difficult questions about those monthly deposits he's been receiving. The irony is beautiful. They destroyed me in a boardroom surrounded by people I thought I could trust. I'll destroy them in a ballroom surrounded by people they're trying to impress. They wanted me gone. They wanted me erased. Tomorrow they'll learn that Arthur Hale can't be erased. He can only be reborn. I close the laptop and walk to the window. The rain has stopped. London spreads out before me, glittering in the darkness like a city of fallen stars. I was a good man once, a fair man, a trusting man. That man died 3 months ago in a conference room, killed by the people who were supposed to love him. What's left is something else, something cold and patient and utterly without mercy. They taught me that. They created this, and tomorrow they'll reap what they've sown. I pick up my phone and send a single text to the videographer. Everything is ready for tomorrow. Don't be late. This is going to be a wedding no one will ever forget. His response comes immediately. Looking forward to it. This surprise is going to be amazing. I smile for the first time in months. Yes, I say to the empty room, it really is. The game is over. They just don't know it yet, but they will. Tomorrow at 4 p.m., when Daniel says I do, and the screens light up with the truth, they'll understand what they created. They'll understand that you can't kill a man like Arthur Hale. You can only make him dangerous. And I am very, very dangerous now. The reckoning is coming, and it will be beautiful.